Hello, I am Jeff, spiritual escape artist, and today I want to talk to you about the power of speaking to yourself and what that really means, speaking to yourself. Let me just address the fact that you're always speaking to yourself as long as you're speaking, and everyone is speaking in some form or another, whether it be quietly, internally, or speaking to others. If you are there and listening, you are receiving your own output. So your own output is, in a sense, input that is being recycled. There is always a certain degree of feedback when you make any sort of utterance, internal or external, and it has an effect on you. It has influence and some kind of an impact on everything, but most importantly, you. Because being a human, being in this day and age, especially in America, there is always narration going on, telling it like it is, if you will. And you can listen to anyone, myself included. If you go online, for instance, you may be tuning in to channels and different people who have advice, for instance, and they will express their philosophies and how they see things operating, fitting together, or otherwise. Perhaps they will talk about what it means to them, or they will discuss what it means to not have meaning, that it isn't so important to have meaning, that we're just animals, and all of this is made up in our minds. And to some degree, it's true, and they're true in whatever they have to say from their perspective. Because, most importantly, it is true to them, as is how you say it, how you speak to others about you and your life, is again how you speak to yourself before you even utter the words, and you've already formulated it in your mind before it became something to say. And these things that we say are the utterance of how we envision who we are and how the world appears to us, how it operates, how everything operates, regardless of whether or not you're talking about things such as spirituality or the material world or your area of expertise, or just going on about politics, or having some small talk about the weather or about people you work with. Whatever is emitting from a person is their identification with that thing that they're talking about. And the reason I highlight this is because ultimately it's made up. It's something that we're making up as we are sharing in, trying to understand what this world is, what this life is, and how we've defined it, and how we've ascribed our language to everything that we experience, goes through this processing unit, goes through this filtration system of our mind, and then is reproduced. And in the reproduction of the language that we share back and forth in communication, we are housing ourselves inside what you could call a mental state. And that mental state is, in a sense, like a reinforcement of how you feel about what's going on, about what it is to be you, about what it is to be human, about what it means to be in your position, and all of that meaning, all of that essence that you conjure up and that you determine and piece together throughout your life is being broadcast back out into your own filtration system. So the filtration system that everything passes through is being built and constructed by you all of the time, always right here, right now. Even as you're listening to these words, it is passing through the filtration system and is being interpreted based on how you've designed your own mental space. And each one of us is solely responsible for how such a thing is erected. Even though we are, of course, receiving influence from the world around us, there is general consensus made. There is discoveries and understandings, perhaps we could call them universal truths, that we agree upon. And that certainly has an influence on how we perceive and experience the world. Still, at the end of the day, you have to sign off on it and go with that. And it is at that point, each point, every passing moment, where you are, in a sense, laying out the foundation or the filtration of how you interpret the world through what we call identity, ego, and it doesn't necessarily have to be just how you see yourself, but how you see the world at large, how you see others. All of that is built within the same matrix, and I mean to use the word matrix here, that is what the matrix is when we talk about these things. And that is also, in the same sense, the simulation. That is a simulation that we live more so, typically, in general, than what is really going on, which is just nature unfolding, just the cause and effect of all of this energy, this pool of vibrations happening before us, in itself is intangible and does not have any inherent meaning built into it. We give it meaning, and then we play out that meaning through our sensory perception, through the filtration of our interpretation system, and then this is how we live our lives. And this is what we receive and pick up, and we decide what works for us, what fits within our identification system, what vibes with it, if you will, what gets in tune or in alignment with it, and then that's what we decide to consume, whether it be podcasts or radio or news sources, or perhaps motivational speakers or people who talk about spirituality, what have you, whatever it is, it has some sort of a mesh with how you identify the world, and then it goes through this reinforcing process, this feedback cycle that helps you navigate through life and build your identity so that you can draw closer and closer to understanding more of who you are, why you're here, how to find liberation, joy, comfort, relief, and avoid pain, discomfort in life. And this is what everyone's doing. And I just wanted to make a video about that. So if this was interesting for you, please share it with another, like it, subscribe, drop a comment. Thank you for tuning in.